Hey, what's up guys? In this video, I'm going to be talking about what filters I use for landscape photography, and even the ones that I don't think are necessary for landscape photography, even down to the point of how you can achieve the same effect in post-processing, right after this. Hey, what's up guys, and welcome into the video. On this channel, we talk landscape photography. So if you're into landscape photography at all, consider subscribing to this channel. Now, in this video specifically, I'm gonna be telling you why I only use 2 filters for landscape photography, what those filters are, best processes of using them, and then even the filter that I don't use, I'm gonna explain why I don't use it and how you can achieve the same effect in post-processing that's both gonna save you time, in-field time, and saving a little bit of cash too. So first off, what filters do I use for landscape photography? Well, the first one I use all the time is a circular polarizer. And I actually use a Tiffin circular polarizer, just like this one, and I'll link it below in the video description if you wanna check that out on Amazon, find your own, and make sure it fits your lens. That's the one tip I have for buying this product. Fitting your lens. How you use this is you basically attach it to the end of your lens and then you spin it. As you spin the circular polarizer, it will either put reflection on water or on like glossy surfaces like glossy leaves, and it will also add more blue to the sky as well. Or if you keep spinning it, it will take reflection off the surface of the water and really act like polarized sunglasses so that you can see through parts of the surface of the water and really be able to pull in some of those underwater features that you can see through the water to add to your composition. This is a really creative way to use compositions in landscape photography, and it helps you really boost the interest level of some of your landscape photographs that really include water features. The other filter that I use for landscape photography is a neutral density filter, and I actually recently broke my neutral density filter and I'm in the market to buy a new one. I just got one of the cheap ones off of Amazon, and I'll link that below in the video description too. And it did a really good job for like 2 years, and having a filter for 2 years for me is really good and really good build quality. Even though it was a cheap filter to get off of Amazon, what I use it for is really lengthening my exposures. If I want to photograph like some cool details in water, like leaves swirling around at the bottom of a waterfall, I'll use a neutral density filter to lengthen my exposure to track motion of those leaves. If I want to streak clouds across the sky, I'm going to use a neutral density filter to streak the motion of those clouds if they're moving at a pretty quick pace in the landscape that I'm shooting. So this is how I use a neutral density filter. Now, a lot of you may be saying, well, yeah, a neutral density filter is cool and a polarizer is cool, but what about a graduated neutral density filter? You can really use those to darken half of the sky. If you're in like a high dynamic range situation, you can put one of those on and it darkens half of the sky for you. I actually don't use graduated neutral density filters. Number one, I think they're way too expensive, and I think you can do the exact same process in post-processing, which we'll get to in just a second. But also, having that much gear really inhibits you in the field, or at least my experience and my in-field workflow goes to show that I've missed more shots fumbling around with a lot of my gear and making sure my gear is in place and right. I've missed the best light while fooling with that. So I stopped using graduated neutral density filters and started just doing the process in editing with Luminar 2018. And I'll show you exactly how I do that right now. Okay, so this is the photo that we're going to be working with in this photo, and what I had to do in the field is actually shoot a panorama, and I'm going to be working with this in Luminar 2018, what I use for editing my landscape photography. And I had to merge this into a panorama in the field because it had this really cool walk-off that you could go into, and then I wanted a pano of the sunrise light and the fog going through the valley. And this is in East Tennessee, a location I scouted out for the Conservation Fund in East Tennessee that they've since are trying to make it into a park where people can go. Really, really cool project that I got to do. So what I want to do is darken the sky a bit here because it's a little bit bright in some areas. Not a whole lot, but it is a little bit bright for what I want. So I want to use that grad ND effect. So what I'm going to do is go to add filters, and what I can do is come all the way down to the utility section and go to top and bottom lighting. Now this is gonna give me an effect that comes up where I have different options. I have top, bottom, blend, horizontal shift, rotation, filter amount. So what do I want to do with a grad ND effect? Well, I want to darken the sky while keeping the foreground intact and lit like I had it in the field. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be working with the top slider. Now I can do two things with this, is impact the brightness or darkness of this. So to the left, I'm going to darken it up a bit and create like a more of a moody effect to this photograph and have that darkened grad ND top horizon line that I want in this photo. Now I can do this pretty dark, about right there is probably pretty good. And then I have different options like blend, how much do I want this to be blended into the photograph. You'll see it really works with that horizon line, maybe making it more of a hard line versus a soft line. I like to keep mine pretty soft, so I'm gonna keep my blend pretty low here. And then horizontal shift, you can move this up and down based on how much horizontal shift you want. And then you can even rotate this to like you would have a grad ND filter on the end of your lens. If you move that horizon line, the darkness of the grad ND filter on the front of your lens, you can also do that within this filter on Luminar 2018 as well. Just so if you have like a mountain coming up on one side that you don't want to get down into, you can actually rotate this and darken the top corner. But for this, I'm going to keep it very level and keep it on 0 actually, because this was a very level horizon line that we were working with. So we'll keep it around 0 there. And then filter amount, how much do you want this to come in? Do you want it to be pretty opaque or do you want it to be really stand out? I want it to be pretty stand out in this photo specifically, and 75 is pretty good. So we darkened the sky up a bit. If I do the before and after look, you can see we darkened it up a bit, pulled out a little bit of color and made very, very subtle changes in this, like a grad ND filter would do in the field. So this is a really good example of some of the things you can do in post-processing versus fumbling around with gear in the field that you can use to create better photography, better compositions in the field, and really take a little bit longer to think about a better composition versus what kind of filter or what grad ND stop you're gonna put on the end of your lens. So the biggest thing about filters and any landscape photography gear is finding the gear that works for you. If you want to try out some of these processes and some of my gear, that would be awesome. Again, that's linked below in the video description. But find the workflow and the gear that works for you. This is just a recommendation of products or workflows that you can take into the field with you the next time you go shoot, but find a process that works for you so that you can shoot that in the field. If you need more in-field techniques that you can use to try out in the field and really boost your photography creativity, I'm going to share a playlist right now on your screen that's going to have some in-field landscape photography tips that you can take out with you next time you go shooting. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.